All right, here we go. Episode 88 of The Real Deal. Play that intro. Let's go. All right. Welcome to another episode, another edition of The Real Deal, episode 88. I am your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back with a new and exciting episode. It is Saturday, April 2nd. Can you believe it? It's already April, springtime. Doesn't feel like spring here on the East Coast. Some days it does, some days it doesn't, but we're here. Warmer weather is coming, so glad to be here on this, like I said, on this April 2nd, on this Saturday afternoon. Like I said, super excited to have this show. You can follow the show, as always, at Get The Real Deal on Twitter, also Facebook, Instagram on there, CJ Harden 79 as well. Courtney at 110979 on Twitter. You can also follow the show. We're live on Roku TV, BS3 TV, Roku TV. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whenever you get podcasts, we're there as well. Shout out to the entire BS3 network. BS3network.com is the website. Check out all the shows on the network as well. I mean, we got shows for everything from sports to comedy to social issues. We talk about a little bit of everything. So if you have if you want to be on the actual network, hit us up, bs3network.com. We're all active on social media. You can, like I said, you can like all the shows, follow the shows, and all those things. So again, we're on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Just Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harding. Google the BS3 Network. You can get, like I said, you can catch a little bit of everything on there. So that is it. We got a bunch of comments already here. Thank you to Nathan for jumping on as well. The NR Hour Sports Show. He says he's traveling back from Jersey, from Costa Rica. Have a safe trip back. But without further ado, I'm not going to have my guests waiting here too much longer. This guy here is one of my favorite people, my real deal brother. We always talk about the real deal, having the same name and all that. We have been on each other's shows and everything too. He is the host of The Real Deal with Damian Adams, also the co-host of the Third and Three podcast as well. Shout outs to Nikki and Jason Fearman of that show. I'm like super excited to get him on. We haven't done a boxing show in a while, so it's only right that I get this guy on to do the boxing, and we're gonna chat about all the things, because boxing now is starting to pick up. The scheduling started to pick up, so it's only right that I get him on as well. So let me get him in as we speak. What up, man? Damian Adams, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all, man. You know, anytime that you ask me to come on, I'm always ready. Like you said, my real deal brother. So anytime you need me, I'm here, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I know the last time we talked, we did some NBA. We're going to talk a little NBA, but this is mostly a boxing conversation, because we're both big into boxing. I mean, grew up watching it, covered it, and all those things. So it was only right that I get you on. So, and your co-host from the Third and Three podcast already. Boxing, I thought he was here for the latest Love is Blind drama. Shout out to Nikki, man. Nikki G in the building. So I always enjoy her as well on the 33 podcast. But yeah, this is some boxing talk. Like you said, we're going to get into NBA. So how you been, man?
Been good, man. I just been on the grind, man, you know, with the podcast, with creating content, just trying to get better and better at my craft.
Yeah, exactly, man. And you always do good work. You said, just, you know, with the Third and Three with Jason and Nikki as well. And then you said you got your podcast, just killing it, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. So talk a little bit about the ones that don't follow, who they should be following by now, but ones that don't follow. Talk a little bit about your podcast and the Third and Three podcast before we get into it.
Yeah, so my podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams, hence why we're Real Deal Brothers. And on my podcast, I usually do 2 or 3 episodes per week. So one episode is usually dedicated to NFL. I have one that's dedicated to the NBA. I have one that's dedicated to boxing. Depending on how busy the schedule is, I'll do 2 or 3 episodes, depending on how busy those sports are. And when you tune into my show, man, you're just going to get thoughtful, funny, just commentary on each sport. And I'm always going to come at it from a different angle. I'm gonna make sure that I do the research on my thoughts. Like my mind already is crazy. So I have to make sure I do the research
Right.
to back up my crazy thoughts. So you might hear a crazy take, but then once you hear my thought process behind it, you're like, okay, I can see exactly why he thought that. And I love how he broke it down. That's something that I love to do. And now I'm, getting to the point where, or I've gotten to the point where having my own podcast has become second nature. Doing it by myself and kind of just talking to myself has become second nature, to where now those episodes are just flowing, and you'll hear that when you listen to it. So either if I have a guest or it's just me, you're going to get quality content and quality sports talk from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Again, covering the NFL, NBA, and boxing on that podcast. And you'll get some music as well. So you'll get some dope music breaks in between segments where you'll get to jam out a little bit between my crazy takes and my crazy thoughts. So please go subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. The 3rd and 3 podcast, I do that along with Nikki Jest and Jason Fearman. That podcast is football based. That's the foundation of the show. Yep. But the house is built from everything. Like we will go everywhere in each and every way. You just saw a comment from Nikki talking about Love is Blind, the reality love show on Netflix. She came on my podcast this past week, and we talked about that. She's the reality TV show queen, though. Don't come to me for the reality TV.
Right.
That's her realm.
Yes.
She is the queen of that. And, I'll come in every once in a while on that. And that's why we had the Love is Blind conversation on my podcast. But 3rd and 3 podcast, you have 3 people who love football. And with Jason and Nikki, I've learned so much from them with their knowledge on the sport. And we have so much fun doing it, man. So like I said, we'll have football as the base, but then you'll have knowledge with Nikki where you can learn anything and everything in the world. And knowledge with Nikki with the trivia that she brings to each and every episode. We have our Mount Player segment, which is a play on Mount Rushmore. Well, we'll have 4 topics. Like last week, we did the 4 characters or 4 storylines that we want to play in a movie, right? Like we'll have different things like that to go along with the football talk. And you're going to have very thoughtful and just thought-provoking takes in this show, both 3rd and 3 podcasts and The Real Deal with Damian Adams. So please go subscribe to both of those shows. And while I'm doing this self-promotion, I might as well go ahead and get it all out the way.
Yeah. It's all yours, man.
I have a partnership with BetUS, one of the new betting apps out there, and I've been doing real deal bet videos pretty much every day. It's like Monday through Friday. I might do one Saturday and Sunday, but mostly Monday through Friday with the NBA. And like you were saying, now a lot of boxing coming up. I'm going to be doing a lot of boxing betting videos as well. So please check those out. You can follow me. If you're watching right now, you see my handle there. That's all social media platforms, The Real Deal WDA, to see those videos, to catch my latest podcast. So please go ahead and support. I would really appreciate it.
No doubt. Everyone support Damian and all the platforms that he has. Like I said, you can just, if you type in The Real Deal with Damian Adams, it pops up. Like if you just Google it, as they say, Google me. If you don't know me, Google me. So, but for like, if you just do that in the 3rd and 3 podcast as well. And speaking of that, Nikki says that don't let David fool you. He knows all the Housewives, Real Housewives. Don't let him fool you. And it's interesting because I've had Nikki on my show a couple of times too. And we talk about a little bit. And I used to be a huge reality TV fan, like huge back in the day with Flavor of Love and all those ratchet shows. And I know Nikki's like heavy into it. And one of my favorites was the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I just saw they coming out with a new season. I just saw the promo. I like, again, here we go. It's like their 14th season or something like that. Because I think Sonia Richards-Ross, she's going to be part of it now. So, so I just saw that. and which is going to be interesting. So it's like, oh, okay, here comes the drama
Yeah,
again.
she doesn't strike me as one that would be
Yeah,
like in the drama. So it's gonna
yeah,
be interesting to see what her role would be in the show.
yeah. And I was like, she doesn't definitely don't need it,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's one of those things. But I mean, hey, I ain't gonna let she's gonna be making some money. That's some extra cash there for Bravo
Yeah.
TV. So hey, do what you got to do. So a couple more comments before we get into it. Nathan shouts, Nikki and Jason are the best. Yep, yes they are. There's a Facebook user says, ever since I have been making new Facebook, I ain't seen no saint dances lately. Shout whoever that is, Facebook user can't tell you who you are, but that's funny. So, but yeah, shout out to my man Samaj James Darrell, one of my childhood friends. Said, "Good afternoon, my brothers." So, and Nikki said, "Look at it this way. Got you guys talking about Atlanta Housewives." Yeah, I'm not gonna front. Me and my wife used to watch Housewives in Atlanta. It just got too much. It was just too much drama and everything. But they getting back into it. Season 14. Shout out to Candy Burris though, definitely. I gotta shout her out because I'm a big fan anyway. So shout out to her. But let's get into all this the sports. We're gonna talk a little basketball, and then we're gonna get into the boxing. But you brought up the betting, and I saw that you were getting into betting and everything too. How did you come about that? I know you like said you when we talked the last time, you said you were thinking about getting into it and everything. And we do prediction stuff because we are kind of betting. But now that you are partnered with a betting company, talk a little bit more about that. And you know, with the betting, now you do basketball. I know you're gonna get into boxing. You could do football as well when that comes up as well.
Yeah, so I was reached out to by Bet US. They were saying that they like my content. They asked me if I did bet, and I dabbled here and there. It just became legal in Arizona. That was last year. So I didn't have the opportunity prior to that to really get into it. You know, I would see the spreads, but I didn't actually understand all the terminology when it came to betting. And part of me was like, why would I bet on the spread when I could just, you know, say who's going to win the game? And I'm still getting used to that, where I'm watching a game and now the team is winning by 3 points, but I need to win by 4, and I'm rooting for that instead of just to win. So I'm just that's part that you gotta get used to. But so when they reached out to me about it, you know, it's a good opportunity because we know that this is blowing up. It's not going to go anywhere. So it's going to continue to build and get bigger and bigger. So to have a partnership with a betting app is just smart in today's world as far as being a sports podcaster.
Yeah.
So I took the opportunity. I was like, okay, if I'm going to take this partnership, I have to really dive into it, really put my full self into this and see how it goes. So I was like, all right, let me start the betting that I was doing. Let me just start putting that on the line, not just my money, but also putting it on the line of saying, you can follow my bets and see how you do. And it's a fun process. It's nerve-wracking at times, like the game the other night with Milwaukee and Brooklyn, that classic they had where Giannis hit the 3 to go into overtime and then clutch it with the free throws. Man, my heart was racing, right? It's not like I had this crazy amount of money on the line. I bet responsibly, and I urge everybody out there to bet responsibly. But just having a little bit of money on it makes it so much more interesting, even if it's not your team. Like, I'm a Pelicans fan, but I was going so hard for the Bucks because I picked the Bucks to win that game,
right,
and put a little bread on them. So I definitely think it adds to the excitement. And like I said, I make my betting videos, and afterwards I own up to it. However that day goes, I've been having a lot of good days lately. But I think it was Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night was rough for me. I only hit like 2 out of my 8 bets that I made. But you got to have those days, those up and downs. So you learn from that. And one thing that I've learned from betting is to look at the trends, right? So when I'm explaining why I'm making a certain bet, they'll be like, oh, I see this team in their last 10 games is allowing this many points per those last 10. I think it's upped my research game through doing betting, and has made me better at explaining why I believe this or that because of that. So I do think that is good when it comes to just your normal podcasting. Looking at it from a betting perspective can help you in that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you like into it now. And because I remember the last time we talked on the show, and you know how big I'm heavy into it because I bet NBA because I play a lot of DraftKings. So, but I do like a lot of NBA. But mostly now I've been just into like golf and football, like NFL and everything too. But it is so much, and we do it anyway because fantasy football is betting. So we've done that. We had our league, you know, the Real Deal League. And with the fantasy football league. So that's even better. But you're right. It's all about learning the trends, terminology, over unders, the plus minus, the plus, the plus 3 or whatever. And then he said, and looking at the favorites and looking at the underdogs and everything too. And it's fun. And you said you can lose a lot of money, but you can win a lot of money, especially if you can get into it. Even some of the best bettors lose money, period, because they're putting in so much work. But you're right. It's a process. It's a great research tool too, which I really enjoy that part of the thing. And I always sometimes do a segment on the show where we talk about just a little bit about what's like some of the predictions. UFC is another one, boxing and other that. So that's even about betting too. But it's fun. It's blowing up so much because a lot of things betting is starting to get it's legal in some states. It's not legal in all states, but it's legal in some states. So it's great to look at that and the trends and all that too. So
I don't understand why it's not legal everywhere yet. That's for me.
People do it.
If people are going to do it, you may as well. The state's going to make money off of it. So if a state is in need of extra money, why not do it? It's just like with marijuana. Like marijuana is everywhere now. You may as well go ahead and legalize it everywhere and have your state make money off of this thing that's going to be sold anyway.
Yeah.
So that's something that should happen with betting as well.
Exactly. And I think it comes down to, like you said, with marijuana or gambling, it comes down to how can that state make money? That's what it's about. And the thing with sports, there were certain sports that didn't even want anything to do with gambling. Now they're being sponsored. They even are sponsoring or being sponsored by some of these FanDuels and DraftKings and stuff like that, because now they found a way that they can make money off of it. At the end of the day, it's all about making money. So Nikki says that what about tonight's game? Go Nova. Who do you like in the Final Four? Can't forget about that. You had the women's Final Four yesterday, which was really good. Awesome. That was really good. Oh my goodness. UConn and now South Carolina, they're playing in the final tomorrow. But you got Duke, North Carolina, the rivalry. First time that they're playing in a Final Four, which is crazy with the rivalry and the history that they've had. First time they're meeting in a Final Four. And you have Villanova and Kansas. You got 4 big schools, big colleges, champions in the Final Four. But who do you like in the Final Four?
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest college basketball fan. Usually when I learn about college basketball, it's through the NBA draft.
Right.
That's when I'm cramming and learning about these players. But so I'm not going to bet any money on it. But I like Nova to win their matchup. And I think North Carolina, I think it's going to be a fitting end for North Carolina to beat Duke in Coach K's last game.
That's big. That's huge. Man, I mean, I didn't have I talked about the brackets last week, and my bracket was already busted up and torn up.
First weekend, my bracket was done.
Yes, I was done. Like, because I had Gonzaga, I had I think I had Iowa, I had UCLA. My bracket in Arizona. I had Arizona win the whole thing. And my bracket was already busted and everything too. So I had none of these Final Four. Shout out to Brian Jones as well. He said Rock Chalk championship time, Kansas by 7. So he likes Kansas. Kansas' speed is going to be a problem for Villanova. But Villanova finds a way, somehow, some way. They find a way. They got veterans. They got that leadership. And Jay Wright's a great coach. I mean, all these, they're all good coaches and everything too. I think Duke pulls it out, though. I think there's something they've clicked at the right time, and they're starting to really kick it in gear. I like Villanova and Duke to make the final. So I think I'm leaning towards that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Kansas either. I mean, anybody can win this at this time. So, but yeah, I think Nova. So, like I said, Jay Wright finds a way to get the job done for Villanova each and every time. So, let's get into this NBA, and it's the Eastern Conference. Man, it's been crazy. Talk a little bit about that Brooklyn Milwaukee game. The Bucks, even though they got blown out yesterday by the Clippers, I think Clippers dropped 151 on them last night. I think they've been coming off, like the Bucks have been playing so high, at a high level, beating Brooklyn, beating Philly, but that Eastern Conference cluttered with Miami up there at the top and Boston. What do you think so far of this Eastern Conference? You got the Bulls, you got Toronto. They're fighting for, I think, 5th and 6th and everything too. But that top of the East, that top 4, who do you like right now? I know it can change over time, but who do you like right now in the East to maybe get the number 1 seed at least?
To get the number one seed, I like Miami. I was looking at the remaining schedules for the rest of the teams. So Miami has 5 games left. They have your Bulls. They got Toronto, Charlotte, Atlanta, and Orlando to end the year. So the Bulls are no walkover, but they haven't been able to beat the top teams this year.
Yeah.
So I think Miami can win that game. Toronto, of course, is no easy matchup either. They're going to be a tough team in the playoffs. Charlotte's another team that, depending on the day, they're still young and inconsistent, but they are on that right streak that day. LaMelo starts going off, and Miles Bridges starts hitting threes and dunking on people. Next thing you know, their announcer is yelling, and next thing you know, they got all the momentum and fast breaks are going.
Yep.
They could be a team that's tough as well, but I can see them either going 4-1 or 5-0 over this stretch and holding on to that number one seed. I know Milwaukee's only a half game behind them, but I can see them kind of resting players. They're defending champions, so they don't really care about having number one seed.
Right.
Now, the danger is having number 2 seed. You could run into Brooklyn if they get the 7th seed, right? Because Brooklyn's going to be in the play-in. Right now, I believe they're in the 8th spot, which means they'll be playing for the 7th seed, but they could fall down tonight if they lose to the Hawks. So it's a big matchup tonight between Brooklyn and Atlanta, where some positioning there in the play-in is going to really matter.
Yeah.
So I can see Milwaukee chilling and not getting the 1 seed. You also got Boston, who without Robert Williams hasn't been as good. He was a major part of their defense.
Yeah.
So I can see them falling to even like they have Chicago, Milwaukee, and Memphis to end the year. I can see them losing 2 or even all 3 of those games. And then Philadelphia has an outside chance, but they're not playing the best right now. Loses their last 3 games. And they have Detroit. You would think that would be a win, but they just lost to them.
They just lost. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So you got Charlotte there. That could be a loss. Toronto could be a loss as well. So I don't see Philly getting it. So I think Miami is going to end up with that number 1 seed, which could get you Brooklyn, depending on how things fall, which would really suck for a number 1 seed to have to play Brooklyn.
Yeah, because we all know how good Brooklyn can be, and if it wasn't for the injuries and the Kyrie vaccination thing, and then James Harden getting traded, and we don't even know if Ben Simmons is even going to play. By the sounds of it, he's ramping it up, but we've heard that already. So we don't even know what he could bring to them. So Brooklyn should be a top seed, when it was all said and done. But they're going to probably be a 7 or 8 if hopefully they get in. If they don't lose the playing game, but nobody wants to play them. Nobody wants to play Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, a healthy, motivated Kevin Durant, and now Kyrie playing full time. I like the Bucks. Like I said, when we did our NBA preview show back in October, me, you, and my man Jameis, I picked the Bucks and the Warriors to get to the final. So I'm sticking with the Bucks. I think they're clicking right now at the right time. They're the defending champs, as you said. Giannis, he might have just leapfrogged everybody from the MVP, from being 3rd and 4th to now leapfrogging Joel Embiid and Joker now. So I really like Milwaukee. But as you said, I don't think it really matters to them if they want to be the 1 seed, the 2, or the 3. For them, once they get in, they're ready to roll. Yeah. But they're peaking at the right time, and I can see them getting that top seed. But Miami, when you had to blow up with Jimmy Butler and Haslam and Coach Spoelstra, that's something that they needed, because they were struggling a little bit too down the stretch. So they probably needed that little bit of blow up. So now they're putting the frustrations out on other teams. They said Philly. Now there's dissension now because Doc Rivers just called out James Harden, but it's almost like we kind of seen this coming. If you know James Harden's history, around this time, as great as a player as he is, and I did like the trade, but it's getting ready playoff time, so we'll see how that chemistry works out. And you called him out, that might not be good heading into the playoffs. Boston's tough, but you said losing Robert Williams that's a blow. That's a huge blow for them, because he brought so much defense on that anchor, that back anchor, where he was a shot blocker and everything too. So that hurts. I know they said he can come back in the second round, but depending on matchups, they match up against the Bulls or Toronto or anybody like that, that could be a huge problem. But I do like the Bucks, though, still coming out of the East.
Yeah, as far as the playoffs are concerned, the Bucks are my favorite to come out the East. But as far as getting the 1 seed to go into the playoffs, I like Miami.
Yeah, and Miami, but the way they're playing, they play such lockdown defense, and they're tough. They got Spoelstra. They got to the finals 2 years ago, so they could be, like I said, it just depends on the matchups, because you said that bottom half, Charlotte would be an inconsistent. Brooklyn, though, like you said, we talked about them, what they're capable of. If Atlanta gets in, can they get on a run? I don't
They've been
know.
playing good lately.
They have been playing
Atlanta.
good lately. They should have been playing like this before, but they're
Yeah, I
playing,
don't
playing
know.
well.
Like for most of the year, their defense was just so horrible that
Yeah,
even their great offense couldn't make up for it. It seems like their defense now is starting to get to a decent point where if you have a great offense and at least a decent defense, you could be a capable team. That's what we're seeing from Atlanta now. So that's why I'm saying this matchup tonight between Brooklyn and Atlanta is probably going to be a good game, and it's a really important one.
Yeah, very important. Shout out to Ben Sutter, the creator of BS3 Radio, jumping on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, follow all the content, BS3network.com. Let's talk a little bit about the West. Phoenix done locked up number 1. Memphis is, like I said, they're keyed into number 2. They leapfrog Golden State. The Warriors, they're back. They're struggling backing into the playoff, but they're back into 3rd seed now. And you got Dallas at the 4th seed. What do you think of the West? Do you think the Curry said he's confident he's going to come back? I know, with the ankle issues and everything that he's had in his past, this was a little bit different because he's got, with Marcus Smart diving into his foot, his ankle. Where do you like? I know me and you both like the Memphis just when we were talking and tweeting. We do like Memphis a lot. Let's see what their experience or lack of experience, how that pulls out in the playoffs. You think Phoenix is all in? Do they get back to the final, or do you see someone like a Memphis or Golden State overtaking them?
Phoenix is definitely the favorite. Like you see the way they've played this year. They have a lead of how many games now?
I think it's like 8 or 9 at least.
Yeah, it's crazy the way they're playing this year. But Memphis, there's something special happening in Memphis right now. The fact that they're 20-2 without Ja Morant this year.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. And Ja Morant is playing at an all NBA first team level. So the fact that they're able to be that dominant without him, they beat Phoenix without 4 of their starters.
Yeah.
And Phoenix pretty much had everybody playing. So when you look at Memphis, you're like, this could be one of those times where it's that year you can't really explain. They have those years where a team just makes a run. Like, we don't know what happened. This was a chemistry thing. This team just had something special about them. And I can see that happening with Memphis this year. Phoenix is still my favorite because they have the experience of going to the finals last year. They have the general and Chris Paul who knows exactly what to do in these situations. Ja Morant, when he gets to that second round or maybe third round and it's clutch time, we know Chris Paul right now leads the league in all the clutch stats. He always comes through in those moments. Will Ja come through in those moments? Or is that when the youth will come out and that lack of experience will come out? It's going to be big to see. Now with Golden State, it's hard to read them, right?
Yeah,
because we were all excited to see Klay Thompson this year, but Klay Thompson has not been the Klay Thompson of old, right? Because he's the one thing we thought he would still have and have on a consistent basis was his shot. We all figured maybe the defense wouldn't be there after an Achilles and ACL. You're like, okay, the lateral movement, the speed might be a little different. He might not be able to be that same defender. That's the reason you have an Andrew Wiggins. You have a Gary Payton II. Those guys can make up in that area for Klay Thompson not being an elite defender anymore. But the thing that Klay Thompson provides or is supposed to provide is elite shooting, right? I think he's probably the second best shooter of all time behind Steph. You could have an argument with him and, Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, of course, but he's right there in that top 5 secured all time.
Right.
He hasn't been that guy. So if he's not that guy and you no longer have to stay attached to him in that way, that changes everything because you think about it, if Klay isn't that guy you have to stay attached to, it makes it so much harder for Steph to work because you don't have to stay attached to Draymond.
Right.
Like Draymond's not giving you anything offensively.
Yeah, right.
So there's times during the games where literally Draymond get the ball and it'll be just butt naked wide open and won't even look at the rim. Right? He's not looking to score. So when you have him out there, right? If you have Looney out there, next thing you know, you have 3 people, if Klay's not shooting well, that can have their eyes on Steph and can creep closer and closer to making it tighter for Steph to work, right? And even if you have Steph running around all these screens and everything, you can help more off that because now I don't have to stay super attached to Klay.
Yep.
I don't have to stay attached to Looney. So now I can help when I see Steph running around, doing all the stuff that he does, and make sure that he doesn't get the ball in the spot to get shots off. So it's going to be hard for them. Jordan Poole's been big. Like, he's major coming off the bench for them. Kuminga, they might be depending on that young guy to really come through for them in the playoffs. That's going to be interesting. So with Golden State, I don't see them making a deep run. I don't, especially if Steph's not 100% going into the playoffs. I can see them losing to a Memphis. I can see them losing to a Dallas. If they mess around and get Jokic in the first round, they don't have anything for that size of Jokic. Jokic could go for 50 every night against Golden State if he really wants to. So Golden State's going to be interesting. I don't see them going deep. My two favorites are Phoenix and then Memphis, because Memphis just got something special going on there with the depth and chemistry that they have.
Right. And I was all in on the Warriors. And, I'm not going to change my pick, but you're right. I mean, all those points is definitely valid and fair, because you just don't know. If Steph's not 100%, they don't get far. They could get bounced out in the first round with the matchup against a Denver, or even if Utah, because they got size. So even though I don't feel like Utah is as good as they've been over the last couple of years, but Donovan Mitchell can take over a series anytime. And if, like I said, if Steph's not healthy, there's no way, because you said Clay hasn't been Clay. And I think as fans, we were thinking, Clay's gonna he'll get it going later on. But he missed 2.5 years of basketball. No matter what it does, I mean, no explosion. He hasn't got that back yet. The shooting, I think it comes and goes, and he can still get hot and everything too.
Of course,
but as you said, no lateral movement, no quickness, and he can't keep in front of guys anymore because the knee. It's going to take him some time. It's going to take him a year, probably, or more, just to get that, if he even gets it back, to get that back. Draymond coming into the lineup, they were missing him for chunks of the season, and then Steph gets hurt, so they didn't have nothing to really rely on without. So they got to get their chemistry back. And you go into the playoffs, you're getting Steph. Yeah, they've been playing for so many years. So you got, Steph, Draymond, Clay. So they know each other's games and everything too. But they definitely need a healthy Steph. Without a healthy Steph, they can't beat Memphis. They can't beat Phoenix.
No.
I don't even know if they could beat Dallas without a healthy Steph. It's proven right now.
Dallas has really been good this year on defense. I think that's one thing that has been underrated about that team. Jason Kidd has been playing really, really good defense.
Yeah.
And Luka come playoff time, Luka's going to be so excited to not have to go against Kawhi Leonard
right,
in the playoffs this year. He's going to be like, I don't have to see those two dudes defending me every play. He's probably gonna go crazy in the first round. Whoever the opponent is, he's
gonna have about 40 again in the first round. But like I said, I don't have Kawhi and Paul George just on me every single time. So shout out to Mike Patton. Thank you for tuning in. Check out his show as well. He said Golden State is gonna be okay. Yeah, they'll be okay if they have Steph, and they need a healthy Steph. Jordan Poole has been cooking. Yeah, Poole's been balling all year. Whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench. But now they got heavily got to rely on him, especially if, like I said, Clay is not Clay. They got to rely on the Jordan Pooles, the Gary Paytons, Kumingas. They got to rely on those guys. But as you said, they have no size. They, Looney, he's a body, but he's just doesn't have that size.
Looney's a very smart player. He's someone that you would want on your team. Makes all the right plays in the right spots, but eventually that physicality and lack of size comes into play against the right opponent. Like I said, Denver, Jokic is going for 50.
He's going to be a monster.
His mind to it, he's going for 50. And then if you start doubling, we know he can pass. He's going for 35 and 15 if you double.
Yeah.
There's going to be no answer against Denver if they get that matchup.
Yeah, definitely. I that's going to be, because they'll need somebody like a James Wiseman. And it looks like he's not going to play again this entire year. So it's unfortunate, because he would have brought some size, some athleticism, some youth, and they're probably gonna go small. The Warriors are probably gonna go small. They're probably gonna have someone like Steph, Poole, Clay, and Draymond. They're probably gonna rely on Iguodala too, and that's they're gonna have to. And Iguodala's not the Iggy that he was even 2-3 years ago. So he can't move. He's old. He cannot move. He brings experience, but that's what he's there for. He can still play a little bit D, hit a couple big shots, and Warriors still be dangerous. But they definitely need Steph, and Steph's got to be Steph. He's got to get that 30 to 40 points.
And the thing is, Wiggins was an all-star starter, and since then has not looked anything like
it. No. Right. And look,
So
I didn't even name Wiggins. That's the crazy thing. And if you
yeah.
forget, he hasn't been since he got that All-Star. You said that All-Star nod, and he has been the same. Now he would be the starter. He'll probably be the other starter, but
Yeah, if they go to a super small lineup, he probably plays the 4.
yeah, he'll play the 4. And then I don't think Iggy would play a little bit, but it'll be Wiggins because he could play that D. He does have that
Yeah.
that defensive game. So before we get again, just a little bit, we talked about a little bit of MVP. I saw your top 5 MVP. You had Tatum, Booker, Joel Embiid, Joker. You had Embiid at number 1. Where did you? Giannis. I'm sorry, Giannis number 1. You think Giannis as leapfrog all those guys? I think it's a tight race at the top still. But the way Giannis has been playing, I think Giannis is the MVP right now.
Yeah, it was a tight race all year.
Yeah.
If you have Embiid at number 1, I can't be mad. If you have Jokic at number 1, I can't be mad at you, honestly, because there's nothing really separating those guys, right?
Yeah.
Even you used to be with Joker, like, okay, he's amazing on offense, but he's bad on defense. He's improved on defense. Now, he's not going to be Embiid or Antetokounmpo on defense. Those guys are going to be Defensive Player of the Year candidates every year. So he's not going to be on that level. But the fact now that he's a good defender, along with bringing what he brings on offense, the playmaking ability, he's giving you 28, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. It's absolutely nuts. But because they are going to finish probably with the 5th seed or lower, it's hard for him to get that MVP. With Antetokounmpo, they have a chance to get the number 1 seed, even if they finish 2 or 3. The fact they're top 3 with him going just ham this entire year, especially his last few games. He didn't play against the Clippers, I don't believe. But before that, man, just going absolutely nuts. He deserved the rest, honestly.
Yeah, 2 40-40s, 2 back-to-back 40-point games. This is like the finals MVP, Giannis, but he's been doing it all year. So,
Now he's been doing it all year on both ends. And we talk about Joker not having Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. for most of the season.
Yeah.
But Antetokounmpo has dealt with Middleton being out, Drew being out, and has still been able to help this team get to it. Going to be a favorite in the Eastern Conference with what he does on both ends, the improved shooting, the fact that he's never scared, the fact that he hit a step-back three-pointer with his history of three-point shooting, sending that game into overtime over Drummond was absolutely ridiculous, man. Right. So Antetokounmpo is my MVP. But again, if you have Embiid, I'm not mad. I just feel like they've taken a step back since actually adding Harden. And with Joker, again, the fact that they're going to finish in the bottom of the playoff race is something that's going to be hard to overcome. Only time you get an MVP there is when you do something historic, like Russell Westbrook 2017 getting the triple-double for the season. Even though they finished with the 6th seed, it was like, okay, triple-double for a season. We haven't seen that in 50 years. I can see why you got.
We got to give it to him,
yeah.
Right.
But outside of that, you got to have a top team. So I'm gonna go with Giannis.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was on Embiid most of the year and said, okay, he should be not the clear cut, but he should be the MVP, the favorite to win the MVP. And like you said, they've taken a step back. He hasn't, but the team has, and now they can be 4th. Maybe they'll probably be 4th seed. But he's still putting up those huge numbers. I think close to 30 points, but 12 or 13 boards. So, and then on the defensive end, he's balling. But then you have, you said, but Giannis, well, he's just stepped up the way he's done it, but he's been consistent all year. And you said dealing with his team with injuries and COVID as well. COVID had wrecked that team throughout it. But he's starting to be that MVP Giannis from the finals, as we said. Like this he's putting up 40 against good teams, against really good teams, against the Brooklyns, against Philly. And you know where it's coming because he's, like I said, he's just going to burrow his way through because of his physicality. But now he's like that step back clutch threes. He's hitting his free throws. He's getting to the line 11, 12 times. He's hitting like at a 70-something% clip on the free throw line. I mean, there's no way you can stop him. And then when those big games and big moments, we just talked about players that don't play big in big moments, like a James Harden, who just shies away from it. Yeah. Giannis has stepped up even like more, just tremendous. So that's why I've liked them, from the beginning of the year, just to at least get back to the finals, because they did bring just about everybody back except for PJ Tucker, really, but Bobby Portis. Brooke Lopez, he was out all year, and now they're implementing him. He said Drew is just Drew Holiday. He's all about Drew
Monster.
Holiday. He's a
Yeah,
monster. He can guard players from 1 to 4. Like he can guard from Kevin Durant to Steph Curry. It doesn't even matter. No matter size. And then they said Middleton. They got guys. So Giannis is probably the MVP. And I know people say, oh, it's gonna be poor, it's gonna be his third one. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He's playing well. So I gotta give it to him. And I think at the last week of the season, if they get the number 1 seed, definitely he gets the MVP. So Mike Patton says that Wiggins had the Monstars take their talent, take his talent back from him. Yes, they got it. And I don't think he's got it back yet either. So, but let's see. But let's get into this boxing, man. We talked a little bit NBA. Let's get into this boxing. Like I said, got this schedule now. Boxing's been a little slow with the, there's been a few good fights and a few good matches so far, but April's got is big time. I had to look it up because I'm like, April's big. There's so many fights, but what do you like in April? What matchups do you as you're looking at in April so far?
Man, April is stacked.
Right.
Like next Saturday alone, we get Triple G, Ryan Garcia. I had to write it down too. So we got Triple G going against Realta Murata, which will be a very good fight. I think people are sleeping on Murata for real. You got Ryan Garcia coming back against Emmanuel Tago, who's a very experienced fighter who only has 1 loss in his record, and that loss was his debut. So he's on a 32-win streak.
Right. Yeah.
So he's somebody who definitely shouldn't be an easy out for Ryan Garcia, who's trying to come back and make his splash. And also on April 9th, we have Eriksen Lubin versus Sebastian Fendora, which Sebastian Fendora, if you're not familiar with him, 6'5", super welterweight. So he's 6'5" and fights at 154 pounds. Like, ridiculous.
That's
most guys in that weight class are like 5'8", 5'7". And this dude's coming here at 6'5". So the fact that he's making that weight is a little crazy to me because I'm 6'2". I haven't been 154 since 9th grade. so the fact that he's making that weight at that size, he's undefeated going against Eriksen Lubin, who only has 1 loss. His 1 loss came to Jermell Charlo. So he has a good resume as well. And those 2 guys are trying to put themselves in title contention at 154. So just looking at the 9th, I'm really looking forward to Triple G versus Murata. Both of those guys are come forward fighters. Triple G is set to have another big payday with Canelo. We know Canelo signed a contract to fight Dimitri Bivol and Triple G later this year. But if Triple G doesn't win this fight, it's going to be somebody else getting that payday. So this is a very important fight for Triple G. Triple G hasn't fought legit competition since 2019.
Right.
So this is something where we can see the end of Triple G here because Murata's a guy who has the same type of style. Like they both want to bully you. They want to break your will with their power. And Murata has 16 wins, 13 by knockout. He has power in both hands, like left hook to the body, straight right hand. And Triple G's last fight against real competition, which was Sergey Derevyanchenko was able to hurt Triple G to the body. Like Triple G had to, for a few rounds, take him off and protect his body because of some of those hooks and uppercuts to the body had him damaged in that fight. It was a close one. So if Derevyanchenko is able to do that, Murata may have the same success. So I remember we saw something similar last year. Remember last year when we was all set up for Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? All Anthony Joshua had to do was beat Alexander Usyk, and we would have had Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And I picked Usyk in that fight. I was like, Usyk, you guys are overlooking Usyk. The guy's a monster. He's a great boxer, good power. Anthony Joshua may not be ready, and he wasn't. Triple G, we might see history repeat itself here. Triple G has that big payday waiting for him. He better not overlook Murata because Murata
don't overlook him. Right. Yeah. I agree. And I like all those matches. And we talk about Triple G, and I'm a big fan of Triple G. But like you said, he hasn't fought competition. Like you said, he hasn't fought real competition for a while. And the last time he did, he didn't look as good either, which it was a controversial win anyway.
Yeah.
So Triple G hasn't fought in 16 months. So that that rust is for real. And we've seen it all throughout boxing history where ring rust is a real thing. And that's even in boxing and UFC, any type of fights when you're off for that long. Not saying he hasn't been sparring, he hasn't been, getting ready for this fight, but with COVID and everything going around too, we don't know what he's been doing. He probably has been. Sure, he's been out there training and getting
Yeah,
ready for this
he
fight.
had to be training because initially
Yeah,
this fight was supposed to happen in December
yeah,
initially,
right.
but then Japan, they had very strict COVID rules at the time, which I
Mhm.
understood because the Omicron variant was going around at that point. So the NBA was going nuts with everybody catching
Yeah,
at the time. But
right.
now things are slowing down. So I'm glad we get this fight now. So he should be in good shape. But again, he is 39, coming off that
Yeah,
long layoff and not having real competition for a while. So I think this is prime for an upset.
it's definitely prime for upset, and I know we're all looking forward to Canelo Triple G. Personally, I don't want. I mean, as a fan, I would like to see it, but I really don't want to see this again because
Yeah.
the way Canelo has been, we'll get into him in a minute. The way Canelo just has been picking apart his competition and
Yeah.
in his prime and dominating. Do we really need to see this? I mean, it's a big payday, and Canelo reluctantly kind of just like, you know what? Let's give it for the fan. Now it's gonna be watched. It's gonna be must see TV, of
Yeah, for
course.
sure.
Of course, two big names. But as you said, Triple G, he cannot overlook Murata in this fight because you said Murata's got great power. Does Triple G still have his power? It's to be determined, I guess.
Yeah.
It's to be determined because we haven't seen it. I mean, I'm sure he's probably lost a little bit, but I think he's got to win convincingly, and or just win at least. And then like I said, Canelo, regards win or lose, he's still gonna fight. He's just gonna fight regardless. But yes, if they both win, then we could see that. But I really do. I do really like the beginning of April as well, and then April 16th. You got your guys against Errol Spence.
Yeah.
Your Dennis, you guys. It's like now this is a matchup too, and like they're fighting for the WBA, WBC, and IBF welterweight. This is the top of the
Yeah.
welterweight division. What do you think of that fight, and who do you got winning this fight? I know we're both big fans of Errol Spence.
Yeah, now this is a really good fight. Ugas is someone who's tricky because he's so sound defensively,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's not going to be flashy on defense. He's not going to be the one who makes someone miss by a mile, but he makes you miss by an inch, which could be even more dangerous because you think you're right there. And then he just slips you, and next thing you know, he's hitting you with a 1-2, right? That's what we saw against Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, it seemed like Manny Pacquiao was right there, but next thing you know, block, boom, boom, 1-2 right in your face. Now with Errol Spence, he's bigger than Pacquiao, so he'll be able to get on the inside more, and he'll be able to go to the body. I think that's going to be the difference in this fight is Spence's body punching, coming from a southpaw where he's able to get on the inside with those lefts to the body and then come over with the right hook on the top. I think that's where he can get inside on Ugas. Ugas is someone he isn't, I guess, I don't want to say robotic, but his game doesn't flow like Spence. Like Spence will be able to move side to side. Yeah. It's going to be more of a flowing thing with him. And Ugas is more technical. So when Spence goes inside and starts changing angles, I want to see how Ugas adjusts to that. But I'm going with Spence by decision. I think it's going to be a really good fight. But I see Spence walking away with 3 of the 4 major belts at welterweight in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think Spence, because like I said, he can adjust to anything that they throw at him. As you said, he moves around and he loves to. He'll bang inside too. He'll get inside, as you said, and he'll use those body punches. And he's one of the best body punchers we've seen in boxing, especially in the welterweight division. And then it goes to the question: is Crawford next? That's always the question. That's just, I mean, my man Brian Joe said, make the damn fight. Let's just make it and everything. He says it all the time, and he's right though. It's like let's just make this fight. And do I mean if Spence does win and he wins pretty convincingly, if it's by decision or knock, I don't think he's gonna knock out Ugas either. But I think he wins by decision. Do we get that next fight? Do we finally get that Crawford and Spence fight?
I think we do. Like the terms in which they've been talking about each other has changed, right? It used to be very volatile when these guys would talk about each other, or when PBC would talk about Terrence Crawford. You see the tone changing when it comes to this now. Like I've seen Danny Garcia come out and say that he would like to fight Terrence Crawford. So when you have PBC guys now saying they're open to fighting Terrence Crawford. It used to be, oh, we don't need that guy. He's got a fake belt over there. All that talk has changed now since Terrence Crawford's a free agent and also suing Top Rank. That's changed the tone of the conversation. So I can see that fight happening later this year. So hopefully we get Terrence Crawford, sometime soon against a Danny Garcia or maybe even a Keith Thurman sometime soon. Yeah, and then after that, we'll have the winner of Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia versus Crawford to fight the winner of Ugas Spence. So I could definitely see it happening either later this year or early next year for sure.
Yeah, because like you said, it's the welterweight. That's still one of the cream of the crops of the divisions, and and you said you got all these top guys still jockeying, even with Manny Pacquiao retiring. You still have Terrence Crawford, one of the best pound for pound to somebody. Is the best pound for pound fighter outside of Canelo. But you just said you still got Spence, you still got Keith Thurman. You said Danny Garcia, he's been in the spotlight lately too. He wants fights. So
he's been out for a while, so he's probably looking for a big time fight. Yeah, for sure.
Right, definitely. So let's get back to that Triple G and Canelo. Everybody wants Canelo. I just saw an interview with Caleb Plant. He wants a rematch. Triple G, he wants a rematch. Everybody wants Canelo. And Canelo, he moves up in weight. He moves down in weight. He's his own boss. He just says, you know what, I gotta. He's even talking about, as you said, he got his 2 fights. He's even talking about fighting in December again too. So that's one thing I give Canelo. He just stays active, and he's the biggest draw in boxing. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think Caleb Plant gets that rematch maybe in December, or where do you think? I mean, Canelo can fight anybody. He can move up in weight, move down, but where do you see Canelo going at, with Triple G and then maybe Caleb Plant in December as well?
So, yes, take care of Bivol first.
Yep, that's in May.
Yeah, is no joke. Very technically sound fighter. Great 1-2. One of those guys when that jab, straight right hand, it comes down the pipe. It's serious. He dominated Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. is now a champion at light heavyweight. Someone who we're going to fight Beterbiev pretty soon to unify the light heavyweight division. Excuse me. So Bivol is no easy task. But if Triple G takes care of Bivol, or Canelo takes care of Bivol, then Triple G takes care of Murata. Of course, we'll see Triple G Canelo in September. I'm on the same page with you. If Triple G doesn't look super impressive against Murata, I'm talking like, explosive knockout, then I don't want to see Triple G Canelo, because Canelo right now is in his prime. We're seeing an all-time great at his all-time best right now with Canelo, and I think we need to appreciate it. Triple G, his best is behind him. He still may be great. We'll have to see on next Saturday. But if we don't see greatness, hopefully we see Canelo against someone else, right? Yeah. And that could be Murata, but Murata's style is made for Canelo to pick apart. It is against Triple G is made for an exciting fight because both guys are going to come forward and one's going back down. As against Canelo, it's made for Canelo to pick apart. So I would love to see Canelo go over to PBC. Maybe if Triple G does lose, the upset happens, where does he go from there? I would love to see him go against someone like a Demetrius Andrade, who's been asking for the fight.
He's been calling him out. Yes.
Andrade fights in May, I believe, at 168 for a WBO number 1 contender spot, I believe. So if he takes care of his business, Demetrius Andrade, undefeated, very impressive record. I can see that fight happening. I know Jamal Charlo fights in June, I believe. Charlo, if Canelo wants to go and take care of middleweight and become undisputed there, he does have to fight against Charlo. Charlo's somebody who has power in both hands, very explosive fighter. That could be a very good fight.
He wants Canelo too. He wants. He's been saying it. So
yeah, he wants Canelo as well. But Canelo made a very interesting point. I saw an interview with him maybe a month ago where he was like, "Everybody wants me. I understand that I'm the payday. I'm the golden ticket. But there's other big fights to be made between these guys who want to fight me." Yes, so like say Charlo and David Benavidez, for example, that would be a huge fight on Showtime that they probably could put on pay-per-view if they have a good undercard.
Right.
So why should have these guys fight each other? Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo should have fought years ago.
Right.
Have those guys fight each other. Or Andrade, Caleb Plant would be a great fight I would love to see. Caleb Plant to get a rematch would have to do a lot. Like, have to be very impressive in his like next 2-3 fights to get that rematch. David Benavidez, I know he's fighting against David Lemieux.
Yeah, that's in May. Yep.
He should wipe David Lemieux up. Like, it should be
wipe him out. Yes, yes.
Yeah, he should take care of David Lemieux very easily. Yeah. David Lemieux is there to be hit. He's a tough guy, but David Benavidez, being younger, quicker, stronger, should take care of David Lemieux pretty easily. If he's impressive in the way I expect him to be, then you can see like people saying, okay, David Benavidez deserves his shot, because Benavidez never lost his title at 168. He lost it because of things outside the ring. So the fact that he didn't get a chance to fight Canelo when Canelo was on his, his journey to become undisputed at 168 is a little bit of a shame. So I think that we should get Benavidez versus Canelo. If he wants to fight in December, that would be a dope fight to see in December for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I agree. I saw that same interview that Canelo was saying. It's like, won't you guys just fight each other? Like, he gets it. Like, because I even, like I said, I was just watching Caleb Plant, and they were asking him about, he got this payday, and he was like, yeah, it was a great payday because I did to fight the best, but I didn't do my job. And you could tell like the hunger was there. Other guys, they're looking at it more. Well, I could get a few million just fighting Canelo, and I'm good. I'm set. But you don't want to put the work in. But yeah, put the work in and fight other. Except there's other big fights besides Canelo. Canelo can't fight everybody. It's like, I mean, he's trying to, but he's like, it's all about timing. Like you said, Charlo, there's other fights for him. The Benavidez, there's other fights for him. There are other fights that they can either can get together and make, and they said make money off on top of having a good fight. So that's
Benavidez and Plant have been talking trash back and forth for years. Like, make that fight happen.
Make that fight happen. It's like it's but it goes back to the politics in boxing. We talk about that all the time. It's like these guys don't want to, for some reason, don't want to fight each other. Unlike the UFC, the difference is these guys fight each other in their prime. They have 5-6 losses. They still get a chance to fight top guys. Conor McGregor, he's calling out Kamaru Usman. Is like, he ain't the same Conor McGregor from 3-4 years ago.
He's still a draw though, so he might still get the fight. Yeah.
Big name. He's like Mike Tyson. He's a big name. So it's like he can get these title fights and look bad in them, but still get paid because he's a big draw. So Canelo is the biggest draw. I get, like I said, I get it, but there's other fights that can be made. Just like we were talking about in the welterweight, there's still big fights to be made. It's not just Crawford and Spence. There's big fights to be made. Besides that, we want to see Crawford and Spence, but you got other fights. So let's move into the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury, he's talking about retiring. Do you think he's going to retire after this Dillian White fight? I think that's at the end of April too.
Tyson Fury is a different type of dude, man. He might just hang him up. You never know.
And wrestling, he might go into wrestling, and you never know.
He might. Like, he does have that personality where he would be a good wrestler. He definitely could cut a good promo for sure. And Dillian White is a good challenge, but I think he wanted Anthony Joshua. And when the Anthony Joshua fight didn't happen because he lost to Usyk, it kind of took the steam out of what Fury wanted to do. Fury has made 3 big paydays with his series against Deontay Wilder. Right. So as far as he might be set money wise, and now I was looking at it like, what am I putting my body through this for? I've done everything I can do. I have, Klitschko on my resume. Now I have the fact that I beat Deontay Wilder twice on my resume. Some people think 3 times. Yeah. So when now that Joshua may not be the draw, it still would be a big fight. Like, if Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury would still be a big fight. But if in the rematch, which I think is going to happen now, I think Usyk has gotten permission to leave Ukraine and train. So I think the rematch between Joshua and Usyk happens. If Joshua beats Usyk, I think that's going to pull Tyson Fury back into the ring. Like, I want to fight this guy. Or even Usyk. If Usyk beats Joshua again, I think that would be the fight that would be like the swan song for Tyson Fury, to go out and beat a Usyk or to beat a Joshua and be undisputed at heavyweight, which we haven't seen since Lennox Lewis. So that would be something major to become undisputed heavyweight champion.
Yeah, like you said, Fury, he is a different type of cat, man. This guy That's what he wants, and he's the heavyweight champion. You said he beat Wilder. He beat him up in all 3 fights and everything too. I am interested in this Usyk and Joshua fight though, this rematch, just to see what Anthony Joshua will he adjust again like he did before, and win convincingly, or will he fight scared and just be a defensive fighter and then get beat again by Usyk? But that'd be interesting. But they think if Tyson Fury, he beats Dillian White, he beats him, and you could tell even like with the promotion, like saw a couple interviews with him, he doesn't seem like he's in it. He gets into it, but he said this time it doesn't have that same feel. I'm assuming later on during the week, these next couple of weeks.
Like I think fight week it'll get him back to him.
Yeah,
like
right.
It's just White is an opponent that he's excited for. Now he don't sleep on White. White definitely has major power, but we know White could be susceptible to getting knocked out. We've seen it against Anthony Joshua in his first fight against Povetkin. So we know that White can go down, and also Fury probably can box circles around White if he stays on the outside and actually wants to be safe and just wants to get an easy victory. He can jab him all night. Yeah, it'll be hard for White to get in. So that's probably why he doesn't really feel the challenge. But last time Fury, I wouldn't say took a guy lightly, but against Otto Wallen. He had a huge cut over his right eye in that fight and had to like wake up and like kind of like snap out of it. Like, oh, I'm in a fight. Let me get out there. So,
he had to push forward. Then he had to he had to push it, and then that's when he was like, okay, let me just put my will in and dominate this guy. But with Wilder, because the way him and Wilder was going at each other in the promos, he took it personal, especially in this last couple of fights, and he still took it personal. And he's like, I'm gonna wipe Wilder out. I'm just gonna bring it right to him. He does that to Dillian White. He's gonna, like I say, he's gonna just clean him out and he's gonna dominate him. So I feel he's gonna dominate Dillian White and win this. And the one fight I wanted to ask you about, do you think we'll ever get Joshua Wilder? I've been seeing that, like that could have been. I know Joshua wanted this rematch with Usyk, but they both coming off losses. I don't know where Wilder, where his head is at, what he's gonna do. But I mean, Joshua Wilder still, even though they've lost, and now some of the sting of that fight, what could have been, they could still actually, that'd be a big draw too. What do you think? What do you think of Joshua Wilder? Would they ever fight?
I think we could see it. We see this a lot in boxing where you have two guys who were undefeated at one point, both had the pride and just being stubborn about taking certain things in the fight. All that goes away once you have that stain on your record now. Right. But you still have the name. It could be a last payday for him, especially if they fight over in England. Anthony Joshua is beloved over there, selling out 80,000 seats in
Wimbledon
soccer
stadiums.
So you go over there, you make that money. I can see Wilder doing that. And it's still entertaining because you'll have no idea who's going to win that fight. We know Joshua is susceptible to getting knocked out. Deontay Wilder is one person who can take advantage of that for sure. He still has major power. And we even saw that in the last fight against Fury. He was able to knock down Fury twice. So he still has that. And with Joshua, I think Joshua is the better boxer than Wilder. But Wilder really takes heed to the training he did for the Fury fight and implements that more going forward. We can see a better Wilder to end his career. I know he probably has like a few fights left in him, maybe one or two. Joshua would be a big payday. So I could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, I could definitely see it happen. I could see it happening, even if Joshua wins against Usyk, I think it'll be Joshua Fury. That'd be Fury's last fight because you said that's going to draw him in. But then Wilder Usyk could be a matchup. That could be something. And you said that's a big payday, or Dillian White. I mean, we just don't. There's so many different options that with just these 5 fighters alone, we could definitely see. Any other fights you got? And there's so many. Any other fights that you got your eyes on in the next?
Oh man,
in the next
April 30th. April 30th is crazy. So we got the biggest fight in female boxing history.
Yes.
April 30th with Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. If you don't understand how big this is, it's Pacquiao versus Mayweather. Like that's what this is. Like Serrano is the female Manny Pacquiao. She has belts in seven different weight classes.
Yes.
Pacquiao had 8. So she's the female Manny Pacquiao pretty much. Katie Taylor's undefeated, great boxer. She is pretty much the female Mayweather in this scenario here. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's one that I don't know who's going to win. I honestly have no idea who's going to win this fight.
I'm with you.
I want to do even more, like just going back and watching their fights even more before I make a prediction on it. Serrano has one loss on the record to someone who was a really good boxer, and Frida Wahlberg. And Katie Taylor could take advantage of that and outbox her. But if she gets into like this swinging match of power punches, Serrano brings the heat for real.
Yeah, she does.
So that's going to be a very interesting fight to see what happens. The only thing I don't like is that it's 2-minute rounds. So I think there's something that need to change in women's boxing. Make it 3-minute rounds. I know that Serrano wanted 3-minute rounds. Katie Taylor asked for 2-minute rounds. So I think that's going to be to the advantage of Katie Taylor. She's 2-minute rounds. One thing that is good about 2-minute rounds is all action. So when you watch a women's boxing match, there's no lulls in action. They just go on.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Like they can't wait on this. So this fight, I expect to have just all the action in the world for 10 rounds nonstop. I'm really looking forward to that one. And also on the 30th, we have Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. Major fight right there. You have a unification title bout. Valdez is this, just monster knockout king going against this master classman boxer and Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah.
Now, I think Stevenson is going to have an easy win, right? I think Valdez is overrated. I thought Valdez lost his last fight, to be honest with you, or maybe a couple fights ago against it was Robson that he went against. I thought outboxed him, but they gave it to Valdez. But Shakur Stevenson is a star in the making. And this is the fight that makes him a superstar.
Right.
This is the fight where
puts him on that level. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money Mayweather. This fight, like this is the fight that makes that happen for him. It's because Valdez is a scary guy, all the power in the world, and has good technique at times. But Shakur Stevenson has good technique all the time.
Right.
And also has the power and speed to back it up. So I think Stevenson wins this fight pretty easily, but it is a big time matchup. And if Stevenson lives up to what I think he can do, then the sky's the limit from here on out.
Yeah, he's been, and I like Stevenson too, because you said he's so good he's just a good all around fighter. Like I said, he brings power, he brings speed, he brings all the technique. And now he's been clamoring and then wanting that superstar status. So now he gets a guy like Valdez, you said, with the power. And if he could just take him out, just like I said, a masterclass fight, and it just brings it to him. I think that takes him to another level. And then they're fighting for the WBC, WBO super featherweight title. And going back to the Taylor and Serrano fight, that's another fight as well. I mean, they're fighting for 4 belts: WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO lightweight titles.
Undisputed.
That's undisputed. Yeah, that I love those undisputed fights. And you said that's big for women's fight. If anybody hasn't watched any women's boxing, this should get you going to watch this fight, because these are 2 big time names in boxing going at it. So that's what we want to see. We just want to see the best fight the best, and this is it right here. And even on that same card we talked about earlier, Vargas and Liam Smith is on this card in the super welterweight division. That's on that same card. So, man, I mean, now boxing is starting to get going. There's so many fights, so many big names. I'm like just like you. I'm super excited to watch these fights and talk about them and do predictions and everything too, man. So, man, we covered a lot, man. I don't think we missed anything when it comes to I know there's some others coming up, and we'll get into them at a later time. But I think for the next couple of months, you guys are boxing fans. This is the one. These are the next fights to watch these next few months, because you said you got the big names, you got your Tyson Furies. If you're all about big names, and if you're just a casual fan, Canelo, Tyson Fury, all these big names. These are the ones to watch, and Errol Spence. So definitely watch these fights. But Damian, man, it's been a pleasure catching up with you. I've been wanting to do this. I just wanted to do it at the right time. NBA playoffs coming up and boxing, it all fits. So just glad to get you on. I'm taking the time to come on the show once again. Let everyone know where they can follow you on social media, follow your bets now, and your podcast.
Yes, thank you again for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure talking football, basketball, and boxing with you. And there's not that many people that you can talk boxing with on a high level. So I appreciate any time
Thank you.
I can have those conversations with you. You can find me on all social media platforms at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in alpha. That's on all social media platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. And that's where you'll see my Real Deal Bets videos. I drop them every morning, Monday through Friday, with the bets for that night, right? And like I said, I'm not telling you to bet all your money on my bets. Bet responsibly. But I've been doing pretty good lately. So I have some people who have hit me up saying thank you for the tips. So if you want to get in on winning this money together, check out my videos. And I put my results up at the end of the night as well. Like I said, so I'm not hiding from it. If I have a bad night, I'll let you know about it. It's going to happen from time to time.
Yep.
But we've been balling out lately. So go ahead and join me and watch my videos on there. You can watch them on Facebook as well on The Real Deal with Damian Adams page. I'll put them on there as well. My podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams. So if you enjoyed this boxing talk I just did with Courtney, you're going to get a lot of that for April, May, and June.
And more, right?
Yeah, because it's going to be so much action going on. So I'll go in depth when I'm, previewing fights and recapping fights. I score rounds. So I'm going to be going in depth on everything going on in boxing over the next couple of months here. So definitely go ahead and subscribe now if you're a boxing fan. If you're a basketball fan, we'll definitely be talking a lot of basketball. I'll be doing my Real Deal NBA awards here pretty soon on that because the season's coming to an end, and doing my playoff preview as well. And of course, we'll have NFL talk as the draft is coming up. But for the NFL talk, you should subscribe. So go ahead and subscribe to the 3rd and 3 podcast that I do along with Nikki Jess and Jason Fearman. You can subscribe on any podcast platform, or you can go ahead and like the page on Facebook and watch us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that's The Real Deal with Damian Adams, 3rd and 3 podcast, or follow me on social media and keep that good content in your life. It brings down your blood pressure. It brings down your cholesterol. Yes. So go ahead and keep that content in your life. I would truly appreciate the support.
Definitely support, definitely follow, share, like, all those things. Like I said, Damian drops that dope content almost every day and everything too, with the podcast, with the post, on all social media platforms. So yes, like I said, I've been on the shows, on all their shows, and like you said, we always have these great conversations just at a high level as much as we can, boxing, NFL, NBA, and everything too. So I really appreciate you, man. And again, you can follow me on all social media platforms. The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. That's the easiest way to do it. So Google is just like Google me if you don't know me. Nah, but Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. And you could just get all of it from Spotify to Google Play to Spreaker, Roku TV on the BS3 TV app. Download that app. That's where you get all the content from everywhere from the BS3 network. As well. So again, follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. Thank you, man. I like I said, I appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Final Four and those bets. Get them in. And because like I said, it's all this boxing and the NBA playoffs that's coming. So follow Damian again on all platforms. So again, I really appreciate you, man. And we'll do this again later on when boxing really gets into the nitty-gritty and May, June, and everything too. We'll definitely preview.
Definitely got to have you back on before Canelo fights for sure.
I'm game.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's make this a monthly thing, man.
Yeah, we can definitely, man. We definitely can do this, and I'll put get you on every month. That's no problem at all, man. So, but again, enjoy the weekend, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, and you too. All right, that was Damian Adams. I can't thank him enough. Again, subscribe to his show, like it, follow it, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, and also the 33 podcast. He's one of the guests or one of the hosts with Nicole Just and Jason Fearman, 3rd and 3 podcast each and every week. Get all that content, NFL, NBA, and boxing. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you everyone that tuned in on Facebook. All the comments. I can't thank you guys enough. So many comments there. Spreaker, Roku, BS3 TV. Download the app, BS3 TV on Roku channel, on the Roku channel. Roku, if you got a Roku device, download the app. Follow me on all social media and podcast platform, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. All right. Be back next week. Be going on vacation starting tomorrow. Be in Orlando. Me and my wife going to Orlando, first vacation in 2 years. So we're looking forward to that. Gonna be there for about 3 days. Excited, get some decent weather, some nice weather in Florida these next 3 days. So thank you everyone that tuned in. Subscribe to the page, like it, share it, and everything. Until next time, see you guys next week. I'm gonna have a couple shows throughout the week on Zoom, so look out for that content. Again, thank you everyone. Peace. Stay safe. God bless.